Okay, so the next chapter is symmetrical to the first. Symmetrical means of the same style or of the same category, written in the same way. Symmetrical means something that is of the same length and width and height, something like that. Similarity. Um, to the first, um, in that it introduces to to two male characters, um, one of whom is clearly a foil to the other. I have often talked about this idea of the foil. Foil means a secondary character who sets off the qualities of the फर्स्ट कैरेक्टर ऑफ द प्राइमरी कैरेक्टर. एक ऐसा कैरेक्टर जो अपने साथ जो दूसरा कैरेक्टर है उसके क्वालिटीज़ को और निखार देता है, बिकॉज देर इज़ अ कंपैरिजन. सो दैट्स व्हाट अ फॉयल इज. So in the second chapter we find, in the next chapter, that is the of the earlier chapter, we find that um, two male characters as opposed to female characters have been introduced. The older man, Mothur, is crude, vulgar, and corpulent. Corpulent means somebody who is like sexually active, or somebody who is Sania, who is Sufi Mukhtar.
Hey, actually, I'm joining it with another phone. My phone is on dead, that's why.
Okay. So, um, corpulent is a person who is like after sexual desire or something like that. So, tall, stout, dark, and this is about Mothur. So, there could be a question of 5 marks on the character of Mothur. So, Mothur is crude, vulgar, and corpulent, tall, stout, dark. He had something positively unattractive about him. Now, this is from the directly from the novel. I have not mentioned the page number, but if you can find the page number, you can put the page number over there. Putting the page number always attracts better marks, because you are quoting from the text, you are substantiating your answer. It's always a good move to use quotes from the text, and anybody can quote from the text, but you need to be very precise about it. You need to show that you are not just quoting from just like from anywhere, but you are quoting from a particular place in the text. Almost bald, his fat body oozes out of his Dhaka muslin shirt. He has a gold amulet, a gold chain, gold studs on his shirt, and wears rings on all the fingers of his hands. This is the picture of a corrupt and unscrupulous man, the villain of the novel. He is described as an exceedingly apt scholar in the science of chicane, fraud, and torture. Chicane is another kind of like manipulation, like making some lame excuses and trying to defraud people and something like that. That is called a chicane. It is not surprising that it is he who wishes to steal the will. Will means the will of the house or the will of the property from Madhav, and who later imprisons Matangini in his cellar, determined to gratify at once both revenge and lust. So, um, this is the picture of Mothur. It can come for separately as a 5 mark question, and if you write only this amount of information, you'll get at least 3 for this. Okay, even if you don't have to write too much about Mothur. The other man, the hero of the novel, is Madhav, a remarkably handsome young man of about 22. Now, see, this is page number 8. So, if you want to read the novel, go to the novel and see if those quotations that I used earlier can be found in these pages itself, like 7 or 6, because Mothur and Madhav are introduced together in the second chapter. So, if Madhav's description is on page 8, then maybe Mothur's can also be on page 7, 8, 9, something like that. Madhav is from Calcutta, an English educated progressive zamindar, in total contrast to Mothur. What Madhav lacks, though, is Matangini's energy and vitality. His clear, placid complexion had turned a little dull either through want of exercise or too much comfort. So, this is the picture of a Bengali zamindar Bhadralok who does not, who doesn't have much energy, who is English educated, progressive, and the foil to Mothur, or Mothur is the foil of Madhav. And he does not exercise much. He is very comfort oriented. This Madhav is, and as Mothur is a foil to uh, Madhav, Madhav can be regarded as a foil to Matangini, because Matangini is more energetic. Matangini is more, she has more vitality. We will remember that Mothur's complexion has been described as dull and dark earlier. So, dull and dark, Mothur, fair complexioned, placid. Placid means fair in this sense. Um, Thus, both men are dull, a quality which signifies tamas or lethargy, ignorance, sloth. So, tamas is a quality which the word tamas means dark, tam, dark. So, both of them have kind of a darkish energy about them. Uh, they are lethargic, they are ignorant, and they are slothful. Matangini, in contrast, is full of lustrous power and charm. Clearly, the Shakti or the energy that both men wish to possess. She is seen as the person who can give value, meaning, and direction to the lives of these indolent men. Indolent means lethargic, not working. So, this is the way in which the narrative works. The narrative does not always tell things directly. One of the features of good novel is that not just good novel, but good literature is that it doesn't say everything explicitly. It doesn't say everything directly. It hints. It gives you two situations, it gives you two sets of people, and then there is a comparison. And we can try to understand which is better and which is worse, and why is there such a comparison, or what is the meaning of this comparison. So, whereas we can compare Matangini with these two men, we find that she is better. So, this is a way in which the narrative works, and this can also be used for describing the character of Madhav for 5 marks, describing the character of Matangini if it comes for 5 marks. So, from the broad questions themselves, you can find chunks which can be used for 5 marks answers. Okay. Both Mothur and Madhav represent different kinds of social privilege and prestige. Bomkim is implying that unless the privileged are yoked in the service of society, they lack direction or purpose. Their lives are wasted in idle self indulgence, or worse, in wickedness and fraud. So, is very. Bomkim's novel has a social commentary. Bomkim is not just writing a novel for enjoyment, but there is a social commentary as well. That if people like Muthur and Madhav are not made to work, then either they will become kind of sloths. You know, sloths, what are sloths? Very slow animals. Those sloths have their own place in the ecosystem, but human sloths do not belong anywhere. So they will either become sloths to the society, they will not be of any use to anyone, or they will use their empty brains for doing devil's work. You know that proverb, empty brain is devil's workshop. So until Bomkim believes that until these kinds of people, these privileged people, are pressed into the service of the society, they will become a threat to the society. Idle people, ideally idle people, they will become a threat to the society, as zamindars were. Once upon a time, these zamindars who had nothing else to do, they would always do something stupid, they will always do something bad to other people. Um, Yet Bomkim is quick to contrast the attitudes of the two cousins to Matangini. While Mathur regards her merely as a sexual object, a potential conquest, Madhav admonishes him against prattling about a respectable woman passing along the road. Sexual mores are thus of great importance in the novel. The chaste, the respectable, the self regulating are seen as virtuous, while those who are sexually predatory or transgressive are not forgiven. This is in keeping with Bomkim's larger view of dharma, but also creates a tension between the desired and the forbidden. So, Bomkim's narrative technique has a didactic turn. Um, Didactic in the sense like some kind of gyan, some kind of lesson is provided, and whereas these two people, these two cousins, are very different from one another in their attitude towards Matongini. Their uh, lifestyle is regulated by the sense of dharma, as we can see it here, and they are punished or rewarded accordingly. But then you can ask the question as to why Matongini was punished. Like, why was she sent home to her father's, and then why did she had to? Why did she die so early? So these are the questions that Bomkim refuses to answer, and which makes us think that Bomkim was not super liberal as we would have liked him to be. Like, I mean, we almost worship a person like Bomkim Chandra Chattopadhyay or Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay, but through his writing, through his narrative, we can find that there are some loopholes, moral loopholes also. Um, okay, Sania, can you read the next paragraph? I want to see if you are following or not. Sania, you need to be responsive.
So, yes, sir.
Are you following? If there is a lot of background noise, you can tell that in the chat box. Otherwise, you start reading from the next paragraph. If you don't, that only means that you are not following. I can ask any one of you to start reading from any particular place, And if you don't, that tells me background noise है. Okay, noise. ठीक है. Koel, read. Koel Manna. You have a background noise also. Koel. Koel, if you do not respond, I will remove you from the meeting. Hemant, start reading.
It is clear that Matangini is the object of desire. Whoever wins her affection will be the real winner in the novel. The struggle is for modern India. To whom will it belong? The contenders are not just the Asuric or demonic
Muthur.
Mathur and the Devic
Angelic.
or Angelic Madhav, but the man who is her husband, Rajmohan, the latter is described as the very image of death when he is first seen in the novel, but now we already know that the marriage is a failure. It is in fact clear through the novel that the two do not seem to have any sexual relations. Through Rajmohan is the very embodiment of jealousy. Rajmohan is so as a cruel, brutish man of enormous strength but of jealous. Rajmohan is shown as a cruel, brutish man of enormous, sorry, एक ही line. As Rap more sense in chapter 3, he shouts at his wife, I'll kick you to death. His utter lack of consideration of Matangni is one aspect of his personality. The other is that he is willing to rob in own benefactors. Perhaps it is that ingratitude that decisively turned
Decisively.
Matangni away. Sir, क्या
Decisively.
sir?
Decisively.
Decisively, decisively turned Matangni away from him.
Okay, stop. So, the narrative tells that Matangini is the object of desire. जो कोई भी मातंगिनी को पालेगा वही रियल विनर है. और मातंगिनी को हमने पहले भी देखा था, पहले आंसर्स में देखा था, मेजर थीम्स में देखा था, या नॉवेल ऑफ मैनर्स में भी शायद देखा था कि मातंगिनी के साथ मॉडर्न इंडिया का एक कंपैरिजन हो रहा है. मातंगिनी इज कंपेयर्ड विद मॉडर्न इंडिया, एंड द वे इन विच the forces like Rajmohan or Mothur or Madhav were engaged in a battle to get the affection of Matongini. Similarly, British and other forces, maybe Japanese later, or other forces inside India, like the princely states, they were always trying to capture India. It was more about uh, getting the wealth of India rather than to, own the country or something like that. So on one hand there is this demonic Mathur and Rajmohan. Rajmohan is described as the very image of death. Try to find the quotation from the text, the very image of death, like write in brackets which from which page number it has been taken. Their marriage is a failure, and he is very abusive towards Matongini. He even tries to kick her, or he even tries to murder her, beat her up. Um, so Rajmohan, as opposed to Mothur or Madhav, is another angle, is another character, another perspective on the entire collection of characters. Okay, so Koel, if you do not respond, then I will understand that you are not following the class and I will remove you. I will remove anyone who does that. If you are in the class, you have to participate in all the activities. Otherwise, don't join the class. Okay, so in this paragraph, we see that Mothur, Madhav, and Rajmohan, these three male characters are being compared. Okay, uh, Abhinav, read the next paragraph.
In Rajmohan's wife, Bankim was trying not just discover the right formula to write a successful novel, but also the right formula to create a new idea. The project of inscribing a new idea continues in many
New
other
idea,
novels and
or is it India?
New India. Sorry, sir.
आँख में ड्रॉप डाल लो.
Sorry, sir.
हाँ.
New India continues in many other novels and novelists throughout the 19th and early 20th century. In Rabindranath Tagore's Gora 9, which is written in 1909, for example, we find the seeds of a new society in the union of Gora and Sucharita on the one hand and of Binoy and Lolita on the other. With the guidance of Anandamoy and Poresh Babu, the younger generation is offered a fresh opportunity to refashion a new world. In Rajmohan's wife, however, Matangini's efforts are not rewarded with success, yet her survival is in itself a kind of partial success. There is a hope for India, but the experiment to recreate the nation will have to be conducted again with different actors. It is not that Bankim did not write stories with happy unions between the heroes and heroines, but these tales lack the power and dynamism of those novels, such as Rajmohan's wife, Durgesh Nandini, Kapala Kundla, Vishbriksha, Krishna Kanter Will, and Raja Singha.
Okay. So, as I was saying कि ये नॉवल सिर्फ एक ऐसा नॉवल नहीं है जहाँ पे मातोंगिनी के लाइफ के बारे में बोला जा रहा है, सिर्फ राजमोहन वाइफ के बारे में बोला जा रहा है. ये एक ऐसा नॉवल है जहाँ पे नए इंडिया का एक आइडिया बताया जा रहा है कि ऐसा भी नया इंडिया हो सकता है जहाँ पे औरतें फ्री हों, where they can choose their husbands, where they can reject their husbands, where they will not be ashamed to agree that they are in love with someone else other than their husband. But that means a modern India. And the same in the same way later, I mean, Rabindranath Tagore was indebted to Bankim Chandra when he wrote Gora. Gora is a novel by Rabindranath Tagore, and but in the very first English novel, Bankim did not experiment too much with or did not tease too much with the social moral norms because he might have been attacked. But he does have some novels where there is a happy ending, as examples are given underneath: Durgesh Nandini, Kopal Kundola. So there are some novels where there is a happy reunion, but in this novel, the only thing that goes in favor of Matongini is that she's alive. She was alive. Mothur or Rajmohan could not kill her. That's the only reward that she gets, rather than getting the love of Madhav or getting something else, living a good life. Her reward is that she is just alive. Now, when India got its freedom, like some 80 years later, this novel was published in 1867. Something similar happened with India. India was divided into two parts, like Pakistan and then Bangladesh today, and these countries are still troubling us. We just managed to survive the partition. We just somehow managed to survive. Of course, we can compare our condition with the condition of Pakistan and Bangladesh, and we are doing far better than these two countries, especially in comparison with Pakistan. So, gradually things became better for us. But when we were granted freedom, when the Britishers left, our condition was no different than the hapless condition of the women in 1867. So the narration is a parallel narrative. It's not just, it's an allegory. It's not just we are learning about, we are reading about the condition of Rajmohan's wife, Matangini, but we are also reading about the condition of India. Okay, so now let's take up. Uh, so, Rajmohan's major themes, novel of manners, narrative technique. Okay, we can take up the question. Comment on the portrayal of Matangini in Rajmohan's wife. Just a minute. Portrayal of Matangini. Okay. All right, Koel, can you read? We are doing this question. Comment on the portrayal of Matangini in Rajmohan's wife. Or has your screen frozen again? Okay, read.
Sir, which one?
Comment on the portrayal of Matangini in Rajmohan's
Okay,
wife.
okay. The Bengali community to which Bankim Chandra Chatterjee belongs is particularly known for the worship of a number of female deities, including Durga, Kali, Lakshmi, etc. Each known for their powers pertaining to different faculties, strength, wealth, or destructions. Yet it was Bengal which was infamous for the practice of sati system and many other discriminatory practices which were thoroughly
Derogatory.
derogatory
Derogatory.
derogatory to the women in the Bengal society. These practices stood in stark contrast to the height of intellectual achievements that Bengali people had recorded. Matangini acts as an instance of the ways in which women
Instance.
are
Instance means example.
instance okay of the ways in which women are oppressed in the society.
Okay.
Matangini
So wait. So Bengali community has been a very culturally rich and powerful community from a very long time. Like, how many of you have like history as your minor? Anyone with history minor? Abhinav. Okay. So, which can you tell us that like which rulers were ruling the ancient Bengal? There were like two titles, two surnames that are very popular today in Bengal. Who were the rulers of Bengal back then? Like perhaps the first rulers of Bengal. If you have studied your history in 11th, 12th, there must be some mention about these rulers of Bengal. No, the Mughals were not directly ruling Bengal. They had vassals, but I'm talking about a time before the Mughals. the Saints and the Pals, the Palas and the Saints, Bollal Sain and these kinds of rulers had been ruling in India, ruling on West Bengal, or not just West Bengal, the entire Bengal. And they had, Bengal was always rich, even under the Mughals, even under Shirajudollah, Murshid Kuli Khan. The entire history of Bengal, if you look at the entire history of Bengal, before the coming of the Britishers, Bengal was exceptionally rich. Yes, those. Yes, Gupta, under Gupta Empire also Bengal was very prosperous. But the Bengali, yes, the Sena dynasty and the Pala dynasty, these were typically Bengali, like they spoke Bengali. But under the Gupta Empire, I think Pali and Prakrit was spoken, and the Bengali community was not there yet. So Bengali community came in the 11th and 12th century. Anyway, so since that time, Bengal was exceptionally well developed, prosperous, exceptionally rich, culturally hi-fi and all that. But after the Britishers had come, they destroyed Bengal, and of course our CPM and Trinamool and all these things, they also came, and then whatever was left was destroyed. So, but Bomkim is saying that in our community, female deities are more popular than male deities. Like Durga Pujo is the biggest celebration in West Bengal. Kali Pujo, Durga Pujo, Saraswati Pujo, Lokhi Pujo, these are all very done with great fanfare and all. And everybody, each of the deities have great strength, education, knowledge, and all that. And yet, it was in the same Bengal society under the Brahminical rule that the sati system was practiced, and it was stopped thanks to the efforts of Raja Rammohan Roy and Lord William Bentinck, who of course was a English governor, but he did something good as well. So in Rajmohan's wife, what we see is a stark difference, बहुत बड़ा एक difference हमें देखने को मिल रहा है between Matangini as the representative of women and the stature of women mythologically or theologically, religion wise, in our uh, society. In fact, this poem Vande Mataram was composed by a Bengali. So this Bengal has a long history of uh, women deities and a long history of powerful women also. Okay, so but Matongini is a kind of uh, character which actually portrays the way in which the women are oppressed in the society. Instance means an example, so she's an example. Okay, next para, Nirjala. Start reading next paragraph.
Matangini is shown to belong to a poor family, a woman, and that too poor is a fertile ground for all operations that the society could imagine to be heaped on a woman. In the first chapter, we find her enclosed in a house that her husband has forbidden her to come out of. She is restricted in the house as were most of the women in a well-to-do family, especially if the woman belonged to a zamindar family. Women were considered to be the first property. Women were considered to be the property first of the father, then her husband, and after that her sons. The argument that is forwarded is that the society is general and the men in particular are very conscious and careful about their women folk. Since the outside world is cruel and सर ये क्या है
Cruel and unscrupulous.
cruel and unscrupulous, it might threaten the well being of the woman, and hence they should not be let out. Matangini has been portrayed as beautiful, hence her appearance without parda was supposed to attract more lecherous eyes. In fact, the first time she went out along with her neighbor Kanak, she did attract the gaze of Mathu Ghosh, which later turned out to be a source of trouble for her. We also noticed that when the covering on her head is blown away, even Madhav appears to be unsettled to look at her. It, con- it conforms to the feminist idea that women are passive recipients of male gaze. The onus lies on the woman to save herself from it by covering themselves from head to toe.
Okay, wait. So, since it's a answer on Matongini, we can understand her background. Bomkim tells us about her background. She is from a poor family. It's usually it helps if a woman is poor, then it helps the oppressors to oppress her. Um, she is considered to be an object, and her husband does not want her to be seen by someone else, as if someone else sees her, then she will become dirty, something like that. ज़मींदारों के घर में ऐसा ही होता था. सिर्फ ज़मींदारों के घर में नहीं, मिडिल क्लास भी अगर कोई रहता था तो ऐसा ही होता था, ऐसा ही समझा जाता था, या ऐसा ही यूजुअली औरतों के साथ बिहेव किया जाता था कि दे शुड नॉट कम आउट ऑफ देयर ऑंदर मोहल, they should not come out of the inner rooms in their families. Though the thing has changed a lot, but I'll try to connect that time with this time. That if you remember that our ex chief minister, she had advised women not to come out of their houses or hostels or PGs after 8 p.m. If they do not come out of their, yeah, 7 p.m., sorry, I thought she was very liberal, sorry, after 7 p.m., but meaning that if she comes out of her house after 7 p.m., then it's okay to be raped. It's she's asking for it. It's okay to rape a woman if she comes out of her house after 7 p.m. So that's, so you, the women should not be out on the streets after 7 p.m. So you can understand this kind of mentality, where this kind of mentality comes from. Yeah, I mean, girls, women, because in our society, uh, girls as young as female children as young as 9 months are raped, as well as women of 80 years, 70 years are also raped. So it's not about age, it's not about the clothes you wear, but it's just that the males in the society get away with it. Long drawn judicial battles continue on and on for ages, and most of them get bail and they live their lives. Justice is often delayed in these cases. However, things are changing a little bit, where fast track courts are taking care of these kinds of cases, but it becomes very hectic, it becomes very traumatic for the victim to fight this battle. So this not letting the woman come out of the house was being imposed by the patriarchal society since a very long time, because they forward the argument, they argue that if the woman is not outside, then she might not get raped. But what about the women who get raped by their own fathers or brothers or cousins or uncles or things like that? So women are not safe where men are involved, whether they are outside or inside. So our present society needs to deal with this situation. But back then, some people would say that that was a very good period, that was a very good time, because no rapes were committed back then. No, rapes were committed more in numbers back then, but they were never reported. Now we can see that the number of incidents of rape has increased, not because the incidence of rape has increased, but because the incidence of reporting has increased. Women are not held responsible for being raped. It's not the fault of the women, it's the fault of the people, the rapist, who have done the crime. Anyway, so Bomkim is talking about, Bomkim through Matangini gives us an image of what oppressions of women had to undergo. In our case it is Matangini, but it could be anyone else. Okay, so one incident that we can talk about is that when Matangini went outside with Konok to fetch water from the river, and Mothur was drooling to see Matangini. Madhav, who appears to be a gentleman, who appears to be a good person, is also caught unawares. He is also caught looking at, staring at Matangini. Maybe he was not like, he was not staring in a bad way, or like what happens when we see something unexpected. We tend to stare at that thing or person for a while. So Madhav, what does it mean? It means that men were not used to seeing men outside their jenana, their homes. Okay, so that's the thing, and it was the onus was on the women to cover themselves up. In as far as I know, in, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sania, in the Muslim society also, the veil, the hijab or burqa, I don't I mean I might be I might be confused between these two apparels, but whatever, you are supposed to hide your hair from the gaze of the men. Otherwise the men might become sexually attracted to the hair or you. I don't know, I mean, this is what I heard. I don't know if that is correct or not. So that's why women in, Muslim people, Muslim women wear the burqa. So if the men become very sexually attracted just looking at the hair, then aren't the girls also getting sexually attracted to the men who do not wear any hijab, if the hair is in question? So Bomkim, of course, did not talk about that, but Bomkim was criticizing the Hindu society. The society does not matter, women are oppressed in all societies. The same is true in the Christian world also. Okay, next paragraph, Tania.
Through Matangini Chatterjee shows that a confining a woman in the domestic sphere, the patriarchal society tries to curb the growth of the women. The male members of the society want to
Perpetuate.
perpetuate their hold upon women by keeping them aloof from the progress that occurs periodically in the society. The women were not provided any formal schooling either. Matangini too is presented as unschooled and uneducated.
Okay, so through Matangini, Chatterjee, that is Bomkim Chatterjee, is showing that what happens to the women. Patriarchal curbs, they want to perpetuate, means to continue forever. That's what the men want in general upon women, that the women should listen to the men all the time, and they should go by their rules and all. Things, of course, have changed, especially in Bengali societies, especially in southern societies also, where there is a lot of education. Educated women are not easy to be controlled by men, um, and that is the issue in the next line. The women were not educated. ऐसा कहा जाता था कि अगर लड़की पढ़ ले तो उसका पति जल्दी मर जाएगा. लड़की जितनी एडुकेटेड होगी, लड़की जितना ज़्यादा पढ़ेगी, उसका हस्बैंड उतना जल्दी मर जाएगा. तो yes, that was that's exactly what was being said, and I have like some documents to prove that as well. um, so it was actually said by the Brahmins and all that মেয়েদেরকে পড়ানো কেন হবে না, কারণ মেয়েরা যদি পড়াশোনা শেখে তাহলে মেয়েদের যে হাজব্যান্ডরা আছে তারা তাড়াতাড়ি মরে যাবে. তার মানে পিএইচডি করতে গেলে, মানে পিএইচডি অবধি যদি তোমরা যাও তাহলে তোমার হাজব্যান্ড একদিনে মরে যাবে. That was the idea, and that is why the women were not allowed to study sometimes at all. But maybe like my grandmother, I remember that she told me that she had studied till class 5. um, so I don't remember if my grandfather died very early, but yes, I mean my grandfather did die early, but not because my grandmother was educated till 5, but because of tuberculosis, I guess. Nothing to do with education anyway. So that's the picture of the society through Matangini. So that's why Matangini is such an important character. Okay. um, Next paragraph. Hemant.
Yes, in Matangini, we find a spirit that is ready to rebel. She is brave. She displays courage more than once. She is selfless. Her rebel spirit in appearance from the very beginning when she decides to accompany Kanak to the little adventure to the Madhumati river. She is self-aware of her beauty as Kanak confirms.
Read
Kanak,
it.
Kanak, आगे पढ़ो सर.
हाँ हाँ, ये
Kanak
कनक होगा, कनल हो गया.
love Kanak होगा ना. Kanak loved and said, "Come now, my proud girl, let go and show beauty, splendor to the gaping idiots." "Thank you, monkey," cried the other and hid her blushing face in her veil.
Okay. So this is okay. Wait. So this is মানে Matangini had a rebel spirit inside her, but I mean she's brave, she displays courage and all that, but no one else other than Konok actually helps her, and Konok is just a minor character. Konok is not mentioned later into the novel. So when she accompanies Konok to the river, Konok said something very uh, brave, something very scandalous. Even today, it is scandalous. Like Konok is saying that cholo, মানে the Bangla will be like this, that চল সুন্দর মেয়ে, তোর সৌন্দর্য দেখিয়ে ওই গ্রামের যে বোকা হাঁদাগুলো আছে তাদের চোখ ধাঁধিয়ে দিই. I mean, I'm translating from English. This novel is not a translation. It was written in English. So gaping idiots means, gaping is a person who would look at you wide mouthed. হাঁ করে দেখার যে ব্যাপারটা সেটাকে গেপিং বলে আর কি. I don't know what it is said in Hindi. मुंह फाड़ के देखना, ऐसे कुछ, आंखें फाड़ के देखना. और इडियट्स जो होते हैं वो ऐसे देखते हैं. गांव में जाओगे तो ऐसे होता है कभी कभी. And then she is blushing, but she calls Kanak a monkey. A monkey is mischievous, that in that sense, a monkey. Nothing racist about it. So this is what Bomkim is trying to say, that this little woman has some spirit of rebellion inside her. So that's an important aspect. Okay, next paragraph, Abhinav.
She has enough presence of mind to feign sleep and hoodwink Rajmohan in believing her. She does not lose her nerves even when she realizes that her husband is in collusion with dacoits. Any common person would lose her nerves and go on their knees hearing anything like this. She risks extreme peril on her to inform Madhav about the impending dacoit attacks on his house. She handles all her challenges calmly. She shows extreme intelligence when she submerges herself in the pond and cleverly manages her shawl. It can't be done by a person of a weak nerve. Instead of talking, instead of taking to
Taking.
her heels, she out maneuvers the hardened dacoits with her superior intelligence. When Himangini hesitates to go to the chamber of Madhav, Matangini gathers courage to go and talk to him. It was a matter of courageous step to confront a man in his chamber, that too at night. She refuses hospitality from her own sister and returns to her house only to be confronted by a husband who is ready to kill her.
So this shows the brave attitude of Matongini. She is the prototype of female characters in movies who defeated enemies not by strength but by intelligence. And Bengalis were often, I mean, once upon a time, Bengalis were known for their intelligence, even today. But today, Bengal is known for corruption and chakri churi and fish thieves and all that. But once upon a time, Bengalis pride had felt proud that they were very intelligent. So Matongini is not just courageous, she is intelligent. She is so courageous that not only she outmaneuvers, I mean outwits the dacoits, but she does not believe in traditional morality, and she believes that uh, the necessity should outweigh any traditional morality. It was necessary for Matongini to inform Madhav. She goes to her she goes to his chamber and talks to him. Himangini, the wife of Madhav, is hesitant to go to his chamber at night. I mean, I don't understand this, but whatever. So, and then when she comes back, Rajmohan is ready to kill her. So that's how Matongini manages. Uh, Next, Tania.
Matangini knows her mind and is articulate about it. She confesses her love for Madhav. She even challenges Rajmohan when he confronts her in the morning after the foiled dacoity. She also shows enough pluck against Mathur. When she is abducted by him, she was ready to starve herself to death but would not let her be touched by Mathur.
So Matongini is articulate also. She মানে এরকম বলা হয় যে মহিলাদের কাছে একটা খুব পাওয়ারফুল ওয়েপন আছে, সেটা হচ্ছে হার টাং, হার ভয়েস. Very few men can argue and win against women. If you see the situation in your homes, you would understand that the father is not ready to challenge the mother on a verbal duel. The man can shout, but the sheer intensity of a woman's tirade will soon tire out the man. And Matongini understands that, and she too has this power. So she confesses her love for Madhav, she challenges Rajmohan, and she is also challenging Mothur. So many male characters are found to be smaller than her. Okay. Next paragraph also, Tania.
Matangini, however, given the restrictive Victorian morality followed by Chatterjee in the novel in general, is dispatched to her father's house where she lived on the pension provided by Madhav. This act, however, displays the patriarchal disownment
Disownment.
of the other, okay, of the other, quite con-
Conveniently. It should be conveniently.
conveniently.
The spelling is wrong.
Okay. So much so that the author makes her life only for a short while.
Hmm. So Matongini is challenging the Victorian morality that, I mean, Bonkim was also a man, of course, and he cannot imagine a woman challenging and winning. in this situation, because that would mean completely improbable. That would mean like the action scene in a South Indian movie where the hero is beating up 25 villains all at the same time. This is real, and this is what maybe Bomkim is trying to say. This is what happens if you try to go too far, which Matangini did. And that is why Matangini lives for a short while. She goes to her father's house, and that's how she is silenced. Okay. Finally, given the short length of the text, we do not see Matangini's development of character too much. Within this short length, we come to like Matangini and become empathetic towards her plight. We can consider her as a tragic heroine who transgressed her domestic boundaries and thus fell into hardships. She could be compared with Sita, who stepped outside the limit drawn by the patriarchal society and falls into the hands of Ravan. What Sita did metaphorically was literally done by Matangini. This comparison brings into relief the archetype of the eternally suffering woman who is the butt of all perversities and oppressions. Butt of all perversities and oppressions mean the the receiver of all sorts of bad things. Perversity means uh, the opposite of moral things, opposite of righteous things. So, Matangini in the last paragraph is compared with Sita. But Sita was passive. Sita ke Ravon তুলে নিয়ে গেছিল. But Matangini herself challenges Rajmohan, and then she confesses her love for Madhav and so many other things. But of course, Sita was like way earlier than Matangini, and Matangini is a portrayal. It's a portrait of oppressions and exploitations, even by the author, because ultimately she is exiled. She is sent away, like Ram sent away Sita. Okay, let us stop with this. Any questions, doubts? Fine. If you do not have any questions and doubts, you may leave the meeting. And tomorrow there will be no classes because there is a holiday. 29th again there will be classes.